The tilt is real. The tilt is real. This is when the tilt is real.
Welcome to another episode of The Tilt is Real Fantasy Podcast. Coming to you live from the chef's table, here are your hosts, James Crease and Juan Pena. Let's go.
Welcome in. It's Sunday morning and we are live here. It is the Sunday Tilt edition of the Tilt is Real Fantasy Football Podcast. In the building, I am the chef, your host, James Crease, my co-host, Juan Pena, and our producer, Mr. FF, John Swanson himself. What's going on today, fellas? Happy football day.
Happy football.
Let's go.
Juan, you ready to talk some football, man? Because it's here, man. We're not just talking. We're going to watch it today.
Born ready, chef. Born ready. I'm excited. This is the day we've all been waiting for, man. This is it. It's here.
Absolutely, man. So what's going on, fellas? We got a lot of stuff happening in the news today.
Couldn't have picked a better time to start our show, right? Like it's a perfect fantasy storm going on, all the injuries, all the last-minute decisions to make. It's the perfect day for the tilt.
Yeah, so where do you guys want to start? Where do you want to talk about?
Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I was going to say my man
Miles Sanders.
You might as well start right there.
Man.
That's the hot topic right now. So,
all right. So we found out yesterday that Miles Sanders does not travel with the team. He will not be playing, and Boston Scott will be getting most of the reps with a touch of Corey Clement. And Juan, you know defenses pretty well. What are they in store for with that Washington front seven?
Yeah, so it's very, very underrated front seven. Defense in general, the whole defense is going to be a lot better. You would think that anyway, because Ron Rivera is coming in and he's going to install his discipline in his system. And you know he's Ron Rivera from the 85 Bears, so he's not just Riverboat Ron. And that front four has more talent maybe than anybody else in the league. Like you'd be hard-pressed to find edge rushers like Sweat and Young. And then inside they have Payne and Allen, all first-round pick talent type dudes. And they're going to be getting after the quarterback, especially since the Eagles, offensive line took a hit with Brandon Brooks. The good news is out of Philly, though, is that Lane Johnson's going to play. So at least you have someone there to anchor the line with Jason Kelce and Peters. I mean, it's going to be intriguing to see that, number 2 pick, Chase Young going up against Jason Peters. That's going to be a really nice matchup to watch, like on a one-on-one basis.
Hey, we got our first guest in the building, Jay Brader. What's going on, bud? How you doing out there? Still working out, I hope.
So, yeah, the Washington defense is much improved. It's going to be a bigger challenge for the Eagles than people think. I think this game's a little bit closer than everybody anticipates. And
I agree.
Yeah, they're going to be flying around the ball. Landon Collins is a good safety. The safety Apke is really good, too. He's fast, sideline to sideline type dude. So they're weak at corner a little bit, especially because Fuller, I think, is doubtful. I'm not sure.
Kendall Fuller is doubtful, correct.
Doubtful, yeah. So I'm not sure if he's going to play, but otherwise they're going to be flying around the ball. The linebackers are all fast. Pierre Louis and Bostic, they can all run. So look out for a little bit of not an upset alert, but a closer than you think alert. But I don't know what that does to Boston Scott because, I mean, he's going to perform anyway. He's going to get his catches anyway. He's going to get his looks in the passing game. So his value is going to be all right.
What I think happens with Boston Scott, exactly what you said, he is going to get his passing attempts, his passing targets. So if he gets those targets, he is definitely fantasy viable today. We were talking off show before we started, and I believe he is either a low-end running back too, especially if you lost Miles Sanders, or if you have your doubts about Montgomery today. He's definitely a viable running back to play, especially in a flex spot if you have him and you didn't stack up on running backs during the draft and you went handcuff mode. he's a viable flex play today.
Yeah, if you drafted your handcuff with Miles Sanders, then your situation could be worse.
Yeah, that's exactly what you drafted him for, is for this kind of situation.
For this exact purpose. It's a shame that it has to happen week 1.
Right.
But I mean, if anything, it could be a lot worse. So you're in decent shape if that's who you are. I unfortunately have very little shares of Miles Sanders anywhere. I don't even.
He was a hard guy to grab if you
have
didn't
any
draft at the end of the line.
You had to pay for him for sure. You know what? Like, I've seen some poor souls posting on Twitter and on Facebook and all that, and they're saying if you're the poor guy that has Mike Evans, Cortland Sutton, Kenny Golladay, like one dude had all 3 of them. Like those were his 3 receivers.
Ooh.
So you're in a tight spot where you're going to have to fill in those receiver positions with some pivots, and then it's going to leave you your flex open, and you're going to have to put in Scott. You're going to have to play him, and you should feel okay. Like if you're in that predicament and you had him, you could do a lot worse than him in the flex. Like due to the injuries, I have Tariq Cohen going in the flex, and I think I might rather have Boston Scott than Tariq Cohen this week. So, you could do worse than Boston Scott in your flex.
I mean, if anything, Scott's going to have more touches than Cohen is.
For sure.
Yeah, I'd probably do the same thing.
Yeah, because he'll get the carries, 10, 12, 15 carries maybe at a ceiling, and then he's going to get the looks in the passing game. So
true.
All right, so Jay wants to know, Kerryon Johnson, running back 2 going into week 1. He wants some insight on that. Let's help him out.
Low end, I would say. I would temper my expectations, but I do expect them to run the ball, and he is going to start the game. So, and it depends on whether or not Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn play, how limited they are. Like that hurts their defensive line a little bit. But yeah, you're going to have to start him in a week like this, like with the Miles Sanders news and all those receivers that are banged up. Like you might have to start Kerryon. He's definitely in the conversation for low end running back 2 for me, high end 3 flex play for sure.
So is that the tilt? Who would you rather have, Boston Scott or Kerryon Johnson? We could put a little value marker on there.
Kerryon. Yeah, I'm going to trust Kerryon. He's going to get the work. He's going to get 15, 20 carries probably, where Scott may only get 10 or 12 depending on the game script. And he does have the passing value, but I'll go Kerryon. If he's going to be the feature back and Swift is going to be brought on real slow, I'd be afraid of Peterson stealing some touchdowns down near the goal line, but I think Kerryon.
Yeah, I'd go Kerryon too, just for pretty much he's going to be the feature back. And like you said, they're going to bring Swift along slower. This whole Boston Scott thing just happened. Right. Kerryon's been slated as the guy to start the season. So I feel a little safer about that.
And Corey Clement, like I know he's just a name and we're mentioning him, but he's familiar with the offense and they trust him. And Peterson definitely brought him back for a reason. So he could eat into it more. If he gets the hot hand kind of thing happens, where he's the one that's ripping off the 5-6 yard gains every time and working well in the passing game, you could see where, it could be Corey Clement 50-50 with Boston Scott. So, yeah, I would go Kerryon.
True.
All right. That's good.
Question, man, Jay. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, good question, Jay. Thanks, Jay. All right, so let's stick with that game with the Lions and the Bears, because we have more news coming out of Detroit that Golladay is doubtful this morning, and I am watching closely on this one. What are the expectations for Matthew Stafford and then the replacement of Golladay with the offensive production? Does it go to Marvin Jones?
Yeah, at first you would think that, but I'm going to say you take your uptick on Hawkinson. He's definitely going to get more looks. He's going to get more of an uptick. You might actually have to see the backs working more out of the backfield, catching some passes out of the backfield. They might spread it out that way. But the hot name out of camp has been Cephas the whole time, right? Like he's going to be a cheap replacement. He's a, like for like with Golladay. He might be a guy that you could put in your DFS lineups and you can use, and he might actually perform today. He might be one of those deep breaking candidates.
So that's a deep, sneaky late sleeper with Quintus Cephas.
He could come out of nowhere this week and make a splash like he really can.
Wow, I wasn't even expecting that name to be dropped this morning. That's pretty good. Wow.
Well, Amendola is a little bit banged up, right? So if it's Marvin Jones, the defense is logically going to try to take him away as the established receiver. So I think Cephas can have an opportunity with some one-on-ones against a lesser corner than Fuller on the other side. So, yeah, I think Cephas can definitely have himself a game. But I would uptick Hawkinson. I'd be happy with if I have him on my team. I would be expecting more targets to go his way. And I would get, I'd be willing to bet Kerryon gets a little bit more work out of the backfield too. And if Swift is involved in the passing game, then he might have some value too.
And Swift didn't practice that much, so I'm hesitant on putting him in any of my fantasy lineups for this week 1. I am trying to avoid any risk. You're sticking with your players that you drafted at the top of your draft board to fill your initial roster, and then we are talking deep shots here, and we are talking flex options because it's already week 1, and we already have so many injuries, so many hamstring injuries. Shoulders out of place. Mike Williams is now questionable. He may actually play on Monday night. No, they play today, right? Yeah, they play today. I'm sorry, my days are mixed up.
Because you're thinking about the Cortland Sutton AC joint, and he's the one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. The Cortland Sutton thing.
Yeah, both 6'4" dudes, 215, shoulder injury. It's kind of eerie, but it's the same exact injury. So, yeah, I wouldn't expect either one of them to play. And if they do, it's on a limited basis. So, that's where you start to make your pivots and you start to dig for guys. So, in that Lions and Bears game, there's another good option, and it's on the other side of the ball, and it's Anthony Miller. He's in that. I would play him if I had the injuries and he's my 5th receiver on my bench or my 4th receiver. I might be willing to take a flyer and put Anthony Miller in right here, week 1. I think
sounds good.
I got dogs.
You got dogs in there with you, man?
I got dogs up here.
You should bring them into the shot. Everybody loves dogs.
Can you fit him in there? Everybody loves a good dog.
Absolutely.
He's doing his little camera shy. There's Lily. That's a Lily right there. There's a Lily. And there's a June bug on the other side. Here you go. Tell if there's a dog. Well, no.
Hey, there's the bar. Hey, I like the bar.
Here's the bar. There he is. He's in a bed. He's in a
bed. June bug.
Awesome.
He's a good boy.
Okay, so back on brand. We talked Deshaun Watson. Did we talk to Deshaun Jackson a little bit? Did we touch on that?
Kind of a little tired. He'll be all right though.
Is he a starter this week? You starting Deshaun?
Me personally? You're talking to me?
Yeah, sure.
No, I originally I thought yes, especially with the Kendall Fuller news. But going up against that defensive front for Washington, I don't think that Wentz will have a lot of time to air out the ball. So he's going to have those shorter route passes, going to especially target Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, dump down passes to Boston Scott, possibly Corey Clement. Look for Jalen Reagor to run around a little bit, maybe get a little slot play here or there. But unless they have to air it out, I'm lowering my expectations on Deshaun Jackson. He may catch the ball he might have four or 5 catches. And yes, all he needs is one big play. Mm-hmm. But like I said, I am lowering my risk on my fantasy roster to make sure that my guys score points. I'm not taking risk week 1 and starting my year out 0-1 because of it.
I think if you don't have any other options, if you're the guy that you were bit by the injury bug real bad in the beginning, Deshaun Jackson there is a glimmer of hope there. Especially you look back last year, he had a monster game. I think the year before, he always starts the season out really strong. He does kind of like what Sammy Watkins does.
Right.
Yeah, very similar.
Boomer bust player. You're talking about Swanson. You're talking about 2 years ago in 2018 when he had 3 out of his first 4 games. He went off for like 130 or more in each one of the games. Yeah. And last year in week 1, he went off against Washington too. So there's that boom there. But you're right, Chef. The pressure is what's going to be interesting to see. Can an injured Lane Johnson and an older Jason Peters hold up against Montez Sweat and Chase Young? Is Wentz going to have the time? And I agree that the uptick, like, maybe Goddard would be a play. Like if you're, desperate and you need to put somebody in a flex, Goddard might have himself a game, and he's definitely going to get looks down in the red zone. So maybe that's an option too, something to think about. But Deshaun is risky. I love taking risks. You know me, I love jumping out the window in week 1.
Yeah. I mean, you want to take your risks. I mean, if you have to take your risk, take it. And yes, Deshaun Jackson could be a candidate for a high score play here or there. But like I said, I think the Eagles are going to try to control the ball a little bit, especially with the banged up offensive line, with everything mixing around, who's got Brandon Brooks is out. He's done. Right. They had to readjust their whole offensive line, and it could be shaky with that Washington defensive front.
Right. Yeah, so for that reason, I would pivot. And there's safer ones. Like I like to jump, like say jumping out a window or whatever. But like Cephas is a really deep dig, and maybe that's something more for DFS. But I wouldn't be shocked if he played well. But you can go to like a Brian Edwards, like Anthony Miller that I mentioned earlier. Those are options that you can go to and feel okay and feel like they may give you a like Brian Edwards against Carolina is going to be a really good floor. And if you'd rather have that than Deshaun maybe hitting a home run, I would go that route and go with like Edwards making somebody who's going to give me 6 to 8 targets for sure.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
When you're digging this deep, you're talking about flex plays and fill-ins and injury replacements.
And then one more question on the Philadelphia and Washington game, and we've had this discussion. We've had the discussion on the podcast. Antonio Gibson, what is I'm gonna shoot this to Juan on this. What are your expectations for the young rookie today in that Washington backfield? They let go Adrian Peterson,
right?
They have Bryce Love there. They have Peyton Barber there,
right?
And they're going up against this Philadelphia run defense. So, what do you think will happen for the young rookie today?
So anytime you're going up against Fletcher Cox and that front line, it's going to be tough. Okay. So he has rough sledding as far as maybe being able to run in between the tackles and all that. What we expected to see if Philly was at a full arsenal is more of a passing game and more they're trailing, and the game script would lead Gibson to have a lot of work in the passing game. And that's where it's going to be interesting, is how much work he gets there is going to dictate how well he does today in fantasy. Basically, he's a 225-pound receiving back. Like, it's pretty unheard of. So it's everybody's watching and everybody's paying attention. We're all like tempering our expectations because he didn't get the ball too much in college and didn't run. The dude is a freak athlete who weighs 225 and can play in the slot out of the backfield. They can run jet sweeps to him. I expect a little bit more innovation. It's Scott Turner this year, and it's not Jay Gruden. So it's not the same old Redskins from last year. You might expect to see a more dynamic offense today. I would start him, especially with all this stuff going on. What are the odds that you don't have Sanders, Montgomery, Evans, Sutton, Galladay? Like, those are popular names, and they're all probably not going to play or risky plays. If I have Gibson somewhere behind one of those guys, I'm 100% really happy to start him in my flex, especially leagues now with 2 flexes. Definitely play him. But even as an RB2, he's a low-end RB2 as far as rankings go, because you have to put other guys ahead of him. But I wouldn't be shocked if he came out and put up really, really big numbers and like top 10 numbers for the week.
Yeah, he's definitely a flex play in my book. Like you said, especially if you have one of those main players going out and you have to adjust your roster accordingly. All right, so we have a question from Mr. Tilting Tony. Tilting Tony's in the chat. Welcome, Tilting Tony. Tilting Tony is one of our friends, and he's joined us in many of our mock drafts episodes over the summer, our midsummer mock draft, and then our end of off season mock draft. And
bye summer, hello football mock.
And Tony is always tilting, and today he's tilting on.
It's about that time.
Now that David Montgomery is healthy, what do you do with Tariq Cohen? Are you playing him today?
Are you starting Montgomery and Tariq Cohen if you have both?
No, if you are the Tariq Cohen owner.
Oh, okay.
Which you expected for Montgomery to be out because he was been injured and he hasn't practiced that much. Now Tariq Cohen, do you play him, or do you temper expectations and pull him off your roster? Is that the question, Tony? Answer back in the chat.
I'll take an if that is the question. I don't want to start Tariq Cohen. There's 2 leagues that I have Tariq Cohen and that I have to start him because of my rosters and the injuries that are happening right now. So I got killed already. So there's 2 places where I'm already starting him, and it wouldn't change my opinion whether or not Montgomery plays because I have to start him. But if Montgomery's there and you have both, let's say, okay, then you go David Montgomery, obviously, and run with him. Groins scare me that halfway through the game, he's going to be gone. Like, if, any moment, one stretch play to the outside and he tries too hard to get to the outside and doesn't get there, and that groin pulls up and it's over for him. They're going to put him down. He's a young rookie. They're going to bet him. So I don't know.
I'd like to see who your other options are.
Yeah.
So, like, who you have instead.
Roster construction is huge.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm starting Cohen in a couple leagues. Even though last year he only had 4 catches, both times he played against the Bears, he had 4 catches and didn't do anything in the running game. He's not. I don't expect him to get more than 3 or 4 or 5 carries at the most. But as far as the receiving work, he only saw 4 targets both times, and I know that was post Matthew Stafford being out, so it's different when you know what I mean, is in there, and they played Detroit, and the game scripts weren't right for him to be able to get a bunch of volume. But yeah. First game with Trubisky, they're gonna throw the ball. I'm gonna start Tariq Cohen and feel terrible about it, but if you have to, it's the kind of thing the tilt. Like
it's the tilt, and the tilt is real, and this is the Sunday tilt.
Yeah, you have to start him. So
yeah, if you don't have another option, you have to do what you have to do. You don't feel great about it, but you have to fill a full roster. Some points are better than no points.
Right. It's hard to go out and find somebody right now on the waiver wire that's going to be a viable fill-in. Like, are you going to take a chance that Peyton Barber gets a goal line carry or something? Like, or who are you going to pick up right now at this point? You know, that's better than Tariq Cohen as an option if you have to go to him.
Well, if you picked up Boston Scott this morning, then that would have been the move. But
only one person in your league got him, you know?
Only one person. Hopefully it was you.
Yeah, and it was you, right?
He was still there.
Oh, so here we go. He answered the question back. It's either Cohen or Fournette.
Fournette.
It's Fournette. It's definitely Leonard Fournette.
100%.
He's going to get a decent amount of carries, and they're going to try to slow down the pace of the Saints by running the ball. Tom Brady, he should be a great game manager, and this is one of the more exciting games of the week.
Oh yeah, it's the premier game of the week for sure. But
the 425 game, coming from New Orleans, and it may not be as loud as it usually is in New Orleans.
It will be here.
Yeah, it'll be loud in our house. That's for sure.
But yeah,
so it's either Cohen or Fournette. It's Fournette.
He's tilting Tony, man. He's overthinking it. Like that's another thing this week. If you have options like that, don't overthink it. Like if we're overthinking something like digging for Tariq Cohen because of a groin and this and that, like that's different. But flat out, Fournette, he may have just gotten there, but who's going to get the ball around the goal line? Fournette. He caught the ball well last year in Jacksonville, so he's going to be okay catching the ball. And if he's out there with Brady, you got to take the back that's starting with Brady. You got to give him a shot for sure.
Agreed. All right. What about your guys' rosters? Since we're just waiting for some questions here, Juan, who are you tilting on the most today?
Well, I had that problem with the injuries in a few leagues, like where I have to start Tariq Cohen and things of that nature. So I was struggling there. You know where I'm struggling is I had the rookie bug. So I have rookies everywhere. So in some of my leagues, I have Swift, Dobbins, and Akers. All right. In one of my leagues, I have all 3 of them. What do I do there? I know I'm not starting Swift.
Don't start Swift. Yeah.
So it's between, and I have another one with Zach Moss, Akers, and Dobbins. All right. So all 3. Ooh. So do I play Zach Moss? Do I play Dobbins, or do I play Akers? Now, my lean right now, who's in my lineup, is Akers. He's going to be the feature back, and I trust the fact that, on that Rams offense, that he's going to get the work. And the production that the Rams offense has put up the last few years is crazy with Gurley. And he's not Todd Gurley, but if he has Gurley opportunity, then he should be able to produce for me. But I love the sneaky Dobbins play in a game they're going to run the ball 40 times. So, yeah, Mark Ingram's the guy, but he might get 15 carries. And with his explosiveness, 15 carries and 5 catches, and he's going to put up really big numbers. So that's where I'm tilting. I love all those rookies. I can hype all of them up to where I want to start them. Even Zach Moss, because of the goal line work against the Jets, where they're going to be, you expect them to be up and be able to move the ball down the field.
Yeah, it's really tough this season because we did not have a preseason to see. We didn't have training camp live. We saw glimpses of the players practicing. We saw some Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks was probably the only real view of what happened during their practices that we actually got to see.
And it wasn't even.
And you didn't see Cam Akers too much in those shots.
They saved them. They kept them out of it.
They saved it. I think they did the same thing last year with Josh Jacobs in Raiders camp.
Right. You barely saw him. You
barely saw him.
You saw him interviewed a little bit and they talked about him, but that was it. And it just moved along. You saw no tape of him.
You saw, I think he dropped one pass. I think he fumbled once. I think that's what happened.
For Akers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One fumble. But I'm not I'm not
So-
knocking him for fumbling the ball once in
would-
practice.
So, answer that for me then. So who would you start between Moss, Dobbins, and Akers? Who would you start?
Moss, Dobbins, or Akers?
Which shame on me for drafting that many rookies, but I couldn't help myself this year with the excitement. I was watching too much tape this year, and it's one of my leagues where I'm like, you know what? I want to take these rookies. I want to have a share. I don't have.
Okay, so this is where I would break down what your scoring format is. Do you earn bonuses for first downs, or
first down bonus.
it's full PPR, no first down bonus?
It's in the Outlast League. I already have Josh Jacobs as my number 1. So at my number 2 running back, I can start anyone from Akers, Montgomery, who's banged up, or Dobbins.
I think I'm in Akers. I mean, especially if he's the guy that's going to be getting the ball. Moss is going to be a 50-50 split with Singletary and Dobbins. I feel like towards the end, if Baltimore's up, they'll probably give Dobbins some more touches. If not,
I think
change of pace back earlier on in the game. But I feel like in a couple of weeks, Dobbins is going to be a no-brainer. Maybe even more.
I think
we hope.
I think at some point he's going to be standalone. No matter what you're doing with Ingram, you're going to want to start Dobbins, I think.
But on a day like today, I think if you're going to have a featured back as opposed to someone splitting time, I think that's probably you're going to get. I think volume is going to overshadow.
So we would rank Akers ahead of Moss, Dobbins, Swift, all them.
I think your move is Dobbins.
Really,
To be honest,
Really? Over Akers, yeah.
no.
yeah. Akers, I'm sorry. Sean McVay said that it's going to be a running back by committee.
He did.
So, and we don't know how much
Malcolm Brown
snap share is Akers is going to have. We at least know that Dobbins is familiar with the RPO system that Baltimore runs, and he fits that system like a glove. Mark Ingram will get the early down work, but I think they throw in J.K. Dobbins, and I think he surprises a little bit.
See, you're hyping me up. That's exactly what.
I'm hyping you up a little bit. It's a
Like,
tough
oh,
one.
man,
They're all
amazing.
right there. They're all right there, and Montgomery's right in the middle of both of them as far as production for today. If he is a full start.
If he was a full start and didn't have the groin just happen a couple of weeks ago, it's almost miraculous that he's back on right now, and he's going to play. But the hesitancy is he going to play the whole game? So do I want to risk it by putting him in there? I wouldn't be tilting if Montgomery was full health, 100%. I'm starting Montgomery because the opportunity's there. So, but now that it's not, that's where it brings it back to balance. And do I want to start Dobbins?
Is he really healthy? That's something else. Because this whole offseason, it's like, reporters are only allowed in for a half hour at a time. It can't,
information too. A lot of misinformation has been
a lot
coming
of
out.
misinformation, a lot of stuff. I get it. It's clever from a football standpoint, whatever. You want to keep your thing as much as you can in your corner if you can help it when you're not surrounded by reporters. Is Montgomery really completely healthy? Are we going to see him as much as you would normally expect to see a healthy player on your roster?
Right.
It's a risk. It's a risky move. So I would say that Montgomery's out of that conversation. I get what you're saying with Dobbins. Well, I guess
You're saying with Dobbins. Yeah.
all right. So I guess I get what you're saying with Dobbins. Oh wait, no, yeah, all right. And I get why you'd want to start Akers. I would probably lean Akers. I'm excited.
Okay, so Daryl Pittman wants to know Breeze or Goff.
Breeze.
This question.
I like this question too, but I go Drew Brees. I think it's gonna be a shootout, man.
Exactly.
It is going to be a shootout. I believe you're right.
Guys that combined ages 87 or something, two guys that have been superstars in this league going at it. I think this is gonna be a shootout, and you're gonna want Drew Brees to be there.
I think so too. Plus, it's sneaky. I'm not sure about how well the Dallas defense is going to be able to play. I think they could put pressure on Goff, and McVay wants to do a RBBC. So if he's going to do running back by committee, you could see a run-heavy type of script coming from them. They've been running 2 tight ends, less explosion. Like Breeze with Emmanuel Sanders, I want to see what that's going to be like. I want to see Emmanuel Sanders take away some of the coverage that Michael Thomas has been getting. So it's going to be a more explosive Saints offense, and that game looks to be more high scoring, and I'm pretty sure the over-under is higher on that game. I definitely would lean Breeze out of those two.
Yeah, that Saints and Tampa Bay offense shootout. It's shootout written all over it.
Right. I mean,
There's no reason.
but it could end up a running battle, and they both might run the ball a lot. It's early in the season, but with those two quarterbacks, I trust that they're just going to get it done and provide us with a little bit of fireworks, and I wouldn't want to miss out. That's for sure.
And
Yeah.
Tampa Bay, they bolstered their offensive line, their offensive pieces throughout the offseason, but they didn't really do too much in the secondary for that team. So you could see the same thing where they go and they have a weaker secondary, and Drew Brees may take advantage of that once again.
They're young in the secondary, but Murphy Bunting showed promise last year. The corner, he's a promising young corner, and they drafted Antoine Winfield Jr., who's going to be a good safety. So, I mean, they're upgraded there, and their front line is so good that helps any secondary. It really does give them an advantage. So, I expect both defenses to play pretty well, but the execution of the offenses will beat that. It usually does, and eventually Brady's going to find your weakness and he's going to find your hole. It could end up being Fournette is the way he attacks them, because Davenport's not there on the defensive line for the Saints. So maybe that happens, but I expect full shootout and for them to get it done.
Not to say that Jared Goff might not have a great game either against
Right.
Dallas.
Goff will definitely do a good job.
I'm starting Goff and Breeze in a super flex tight end premium league.
Oh, nice. So you have them both.
I do.
Ooh.
Yeah, Goff isn't a bad start, and either way you tilt in this scenario is okay. But I would personally pick Drew Brees.
Me too.
He has the higher ceiling. Let's say he could have the bigger output this week.
Yep.
I like it.
That's a great question. I love it when it's a good tilt like that, when you have to really make a decision, because that was close in preseason rankings, and it's close in for this week, for this particular matchup. They're both ranked around the same area. So
yeah,
great.
no, that was a great question. Great question by Daryl Pittman.
Keep them coming. This is great. We love it.
Yeah, right. So, like, if you're in the situation where, like, you have Cortland Sutton and all that, and we talked about, and we were not, at the Monday night games yet, but you still always have to keep your eye on, Monday night and see what's going on there. Who are some of the guys that you might want to target as pivot moves from the Monday night games? So out of the Giants and the Steelers and the Broncos game, who do you want to target there? Maybe like, are you digging real deep? Like past AJ Brown on the Titans, he's already rostered, so he's a starter. But I'm talking about the second tier guys. Like
we could talk about the tight ends on all four teams here.
You're starting Ingram, right? If you have him in your tight end spot now,
you're obviously starting Evan Ingram. He definitely is up there. Tate is still questionable for Monday. Eric Ebron, total sleeper.
Breaking news:
he could be.
Officially inactive.
What happened?
Galladay is officially inactive.
All right, so we know that now. We know that now. That's great.
Lane Johnson is inactive for the Eagles, so that hurts them even more.
Ooh,
with the Boston Scott tilt.
God,
this is
try not to curse there, Mr. Swanson.
It's a family show.
Wow. Listen, also for the Lions, rookie Jeff Okudah is going to be out. Safety CJ Moore, so they're a little bit more banged up, and than we think. And so that's for me, Anthony Miller just went.
Anthony Miller,
and yeah. There's no other corner there for sure. Anthony Miller and Allen Robinson could both have really good games against that secondary.
Okay.
That's good to know.
Yeah, I mean, he was the number 5 overall pick. He's going to be a really good corner in the league. And if he's inactive, that means, a weak Lions secondary from last year is going to have to try to step up. And against Allen Robinson and Anthony Miller, good luck.
So I have another question. Excuse me. So with Mike Evans being questionable for a 425 game, is this something that you already pivot from? Like you've already made that move to bench Mike Evans because he went from doubtful to questionable, so it's on its way back up. But until we hear something, like I already benched Mike Evans for Jack Doyle actually in a tight end premium league.
Oh, tight end premium, yeah. That makes sense.
So in this league, tight ends are worth 1.5, right?
Right,
Yeah.
1.5, yeah.
Okay, this is our league of record. So I put Jack Doyle in as a flex over Mike Evans. They're almost worth, the same amount of projected points at that point. But are you willing to put Mike Evans back in with this until they say that he's coming back?
If he plays, you have to kind of play him.
You play him, right?
Yeah.
I'm taking the safer route on that one, and I'm making a pivot. I'm making a pivot on Evans because he plays later on. If he plays, you got to start him. But again, a hamstring can go at any time. It's a risky one. And if you've seen Galladay go down now and he's inactive, the same thing could happen to you at 4 o'clock. It depends on your roster. And if you have a guy earlier, that's why I was going to the Monday night ones, because if you have a few guys there like Deontay Johnson, James Washington, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, Jerry Jeudy, like you have options later on, guys that you might have on your roster, one of those that you can use. Like instead of having Mike Evans play, if I have Deontay Johnson, I'm starting Deontay Johnson. A million times out of a million. I'm not even going to mess around with the hamstring because the drop-off isn't that significant. And I have upside with Deontay Johnson and Darius Slayton and Sterling Shepard, Jeudy, even a KJ Hamler might get a little bit of burn in the for the Broncos. So
you're leaving all upside for that tilt.
I would go the other way. I would pivot for later. Or maybe you have Gallup, or maybe you have CeeDee Lamb. You know what I mean? Maybe. So start one of those guys.
I would play CeeDee Lamb over Mike Evans today.
Right, that's what I mean. If you have an option, if you have or Jerry Jeudy because you like one of those rookies and you went with it, go with that. But even if it's an earlier game option, like my only option in one league is Kerryon Johnson. So I'm going to start Kerryon Johnson, and I'm going to roll the dice that he's going to get more points than Evans, even if Evans plays. Like I wish Evans would play, but since I don't know that, I'm going to preemptively strike and put my guy in. If I had a Monday night option though, or a later option where I can wait and see how Evans is, sure. But we haven't seen anything. So this is the first time we're going to see pregame warm-ups and anything. Even guys, whether or not he's stretching, whether or not he's warming up with his quarterback, did he come out of the locker room early? Like all of those reports, this is the first time that we're going to be able to see that today. So I'd rather be safe and go with Kerryon or an option later on.
Right.
Okay, so everybody that's out there in the chat, we're going to take a brief second and do a live read from Thrive Fantasy.
What's Thrive Fantasy, Chef?
So Thrive Fantasy is our partnership this year. It is a prop bet website, and I'll get into it real fast with this. Stand by. So Thrive Fantasy. Come prop up on Thrive Fantasy this season. Thrive Fantasy is a daily fantasy sports app for player props. They have eliminated the need to do countless hours of research because they only ask you about the top tier athletes in a respective sport. If you're in for NFL, and we are, choose 10 out of the 20 player prop options to build your lineup. Each prop has a fantasy point total associated with the over or under based on its likelihood to occur. The more points a selection is worth, the riskier it is. Rack up the most points to win a share of the prize pool. Use our promo code today, TIRPOD, when you sign up today, and you will receive an instant $20 bonus on your first deposit of $20 or more. Download Thrive Fantasy on the App Store or Play Store by visiting their website at www.thrivefantasy.com. Sign up and hashtag prop up today.
And what's that promo code again, Chef?
That promo code is TIRPOD, and I will have it on here for a second. Here we go. Let's do that. All right, so it's running on the bottom now. You can see it. Use promo code TIRPOD at Thrive Fantasy. Coming soon to the state of New Jersey. Not there yet, so if you are listening from out of state, hey, it may be in your area. Check out the website for details at www.thrivefantasy.com.
TIRPOD.
Oh, man, that's a fancy coffee cup you got there, pal.
Yeah, FF one of a kind.
Man,
TIR.
I'm jealous.
This list together because that's on there.
I want one of those beer ones
I
too.
want a beer one. Yeah, that's what I want. I want one of those little Yetis that you can put the beer in. It stays cold for 16 days. Yeah.
So Montgomery is officially active for the Lions today. It's official.
For the Bears. The Bears.
Oh, for the Bears. I'm sorry. The Bears.
The 49ers are uncertain whether Tevin Coleman will play today against Arizona due to a combo of pre-existing health condition and the air quality in the Bay Area.
What's that?
The 49ers are still uncertain whether Tevin Coleman will play today against Arizona due to a combination of a pre-existing health condition and due to the air quality in the Bay Area.
Doesn't he have asma?
It's up to 171, I think, or 170. And if it gets over 200, they might have to move the game or cancel the game or postpone.
170 what? Degrees?
No, it's the air quality index.
Yeah, the air quality index. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I thought you're Hurricane Schwartz normally. I thought you would be up on that.
No,
Speaking of hurricanes, I saw a crazy fire tornado, a fire-nado from a
I
fireman.
thought it was fake. It's unreal.
it's crazy.
I have it posted up on Twitter. I think I retweeted it. I'm not sure.
It's 2020. Nothing surprises me anymore. I'm like, that's about right.
Oh, so how about that? How about that for a little fun thing? What would be the most 2020 player today? Like, who could be the most 2020 thing to happen today? I have one to lead it off. So you guys
On a bad note or a good note?
A good note. Like a random note.
So a bold prediction breakout? Is that what you're looking for?
Exactly. Like a
I don't
weird.
want to say anything negative because I don't want to jinx anything.
No. It's a positive thing. Listen. Let me set it up for you so you guys can take a second to think about it. Check it out.
Go ahead.
Today, the wide receiver one is Dante Pettis. That would be the most 2020 thing to happen to all fantasy people who suffered through the Dante Pettis thing last year. If you rostered him, he's on your bench. We haven't mentioned him. No one's thinking about him. Kendrick Bourne's going higher. If Dante Pettis was the wide receiver one today, that would be the most 2020 thing to happen.
Oh, the wide receiver one today.
You can do
That would be some 2020 stuff, huh?
Right. If Pettis came out and had balled out and had a $180 and 2 touchdowns, like everybody would go nuts.
So I'm trying to think.
This is a really good question.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for this.
I'm
You
sorry.
should have wrote this in the private chat.
I didn't think of it until just now before I started opening my mouth.
All right. So you're saying like a bold prediction for today?
Something far-fetched. Yeah, something that is unlikely to happen. You know,
Kenny Galladay is active.
Who? You what?
No,
Kenny
no.
Kenny Galladay is active.
Yeah, that'd be a quick turn of events.
Kenny Galladay is out. Everybody.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll go ahead and say it that. I mean, it could. Is it a plausible thing to happen, or it shouldn't happen at all?
Something highly unlikely that would happen because it's 2020. Like Dante Pettis would be the wide receiver one, man, because that's the way 2020 has been going. Like
so
Ryan,
it's not a hot take.
like
It's
Ryan
more like it'll never happen. But it.
Like Ryan Fitzpatrick would be the QB one today. Taysom Hill would outscore Drew Brees.
Mitch Trubisky finishes as QB1.
There you go. That would be it. He lost his job. They brought in another guy. They paid him a bunch of money, and he still ends up getting it. And he throws 6 touchdowns, which he has done before in a game.
Robert Goodell lets Josh Gordon back into the league by 1:00 today, and he starts for Seattle and is the wide receiver one. That would be a 2020 take.
That's cool.
Because that ain't never happening.
That's something. Yep. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to throw you guys off guard like that. I just had some weird questions.
I said Robert. It is Roger. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
a couple other things I would just think about.
Oh, you knew his middle name or something. You guys might have gone to school together or something. So you
Nah,
knew
man. Nah.
Roger Rob.
Jonathan Taylor finishes as RB1 and instantly takes the job.
Yeah. I mean, I can see that happening, though.
It's going to happen eventually this season. We just don't know when.
That's a matter of when, not if, yeah.
What about all rookie running backs end up starting the starting running back for week 2? J.K. Dobbins, DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor.
Zach Moss, Akers.
Yeah, Cam Akers, like all these guys end up number 1 RB on their respective squads. They have the job week 2.
They certainly have the opportunity.
Also a good start.
Yeah. They all have it. Yeah, right. CH has already put up a top 10 performance. He's already, pretty much locked in top 10 for the week. That was good to see, man, on Thursday night, man. That was cool. Oh, yeah, Mr. Swanson, shout out for getting all those predictions right. That was kind of crazy. He called the first touchdown was going to be for the Chiefs was going to be Kelsey. First touchdown of the game was going to be David Johnson. So you did pretty well. And what was the third one? You had another one?
I was wrong about Mecole Hardman time and time.
You were wrong about Mecole.
You say Mecole and he was wrong.
But
I
hey,
told anybody to start Mecole Hardman. I just said that I was going to start him.
you did. And you reiterated.
Yeah, whatever happened to me happened to me. But if you started Mecole Hardman because of me, send me a private message. I'll take it to McDonald's or something. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. But, I mean, the Chiefs ran a very who knew that the Lizard King was going to be, the
Lizard King.
The Lizard King. Yeah.
He's going to do what he's going to do.
Yeah.
So how about a game that like you're secretly really excited about that maybe is not on the radar? Everybody's talking about Bucks and Saints. Everybody wants to watch that. Sure. But what about like a game that's off the radar a little bit?
All right. So my off the radar game, and I'm really excited to see this happen. And I know Juan owns a lot of shares of one of these guys, Josh Jacobs. I want to see Josh Jacobs today against the Panthers. I think this game is going to be spread out a lot more than what people think. Yes, you have CMC, you have Josh Jacobs. They're going to run the ball as much as possible, but the passing options are very intriguing. I'm really looking forward to seeing Henry Ruggs, Brian Edwards, even Renfro in the slot. And then I want to see if Waller the Walrus himself, he can actually duplicate what he did last season. And Carolina's defense is a perfect target for a week 1 breakout from all those guys.
So do you think that I think Josh Jacobs is just going to torch him on the ground. I don't even know if they're going to have, if anything through the air is going to be viable fantasy wise. I think it's just going to be, I think Jacobs is going to have 170 yards and 2.
170 yards and 2. Wow.
Monster game. I love that.
I think he's going to have an absolute monster game. I really do.
I think he gets over the century mark on the ground today. That's for sure. We don't know how much he's going to catch the ball. And that was the question all off season during training camp, because they were bringing in players and then dropping players. And then they just traded away Lynn Bowden for a 4th round pick. So yeah, I want to see the target share specifically for Josh Jacobs, and that will put him over the top. But he is in my top 4 for running backs this week.
For this week, he should be. He's in my RB season long RB4. You know that. The love is real. Like 80% market share. Like if you want to talk about going all in, I have Josh Jacobs in 80% of my leagues.
Ooh.
So I'm all in on Jacobs, but especially for this week, I love him. I have him in all my DFS lineups. Like he is it for me this week. But him and CMC are both going to get, like you said, 100 yards. That's easy. They're both should be around that. But the passing game, you can go 6 deep with these receivers. Like you mentioned Renfro. On the other side, Curtis Samuel, Robbie Anderson, and of course DJ Moore, who you're already starting by default. But all 6 of those guys can be viable flex plays this week. They all have upside to be able to perform. And I think shots are going to be taken. Everybody forgets Derek Carr, 70% completion percentage. Like he's led the league last year in completion percentage. So, and now he has toys and weapons. He can stretch the ball, which he has a good arm. He's never not had a good arm. He just hadn't had the time or the offense or the playmakers on the outside. And I mean, Henry Ruggs is one and gone. It just slant and go. Like any one play and it's a touchdown. Like if you watch the tape, like people are going to be surprised today with the explosiveness of this game.
Yeah, and on the other side of the ball, Teddy Bridgewater, great game manager when he played for New Orleans last year in the stint that he stepped in for Drew Brees. Now with a new fully loaded offense, CMC obviously the main piece in that offense, but DJ Moore, great candidate for today. You're definitely starting him if you have him in your roster. Curtis Samuel, I know Juan, that's a favorite of yours in the slot. And then we have Robbie Anderson, who we haven't really seen come out of his shell. He's reunited with his Temple coach, with Matt Rule.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about this game. And John Swanson is in the house with me today, and we might have to put that game on the big screen for a little bit.
The Raiders-Panthers game?
Yeah, I'm really excited about that one.
On the big screen?
On a big screen for a little bit, maybe.
If you can pry that remote from my hands, this is.
oh man, he's upstairs. He probably already has the remote hidden from me already.
I always have the remote, but I'm always on because we do the NFL Game Pass. We have 8 games going on at once, so I'm always, if someone wants a game on, I'm like boom, and I change it right to the game. But hey man, anything goes today. This is going to be a different Sunday for us. I feel like I'm going to be.
I go like this and watch Red Zone the whole day and just let them do the work for me.
Yo, Juan, you could definitely come over. We'll get you a heating pack and you could just chill out and relax. A couple beers, a couple shots to be all right.
I'm laying down. I'm gonna have a couple beers. I'm gonna have a couple shots, but I'm laying down. Right, the back is on swole.
So I got a tilt texted to me from my boy Pete, my boy Top Cheese. Pete wants to know. He feels like everybody's hating on Le'Veon Bell. Should he start Boston Scott over Bell?
Wow.
Ooh, so that's a great one. Do you mind, Juan? Can I take this? Because we had
Please.
talked about this earlier.
I don't want no part of Adam Gase's offense, so you take it.
He has Gurley. He's starting Mixon and Gurley, so he's basically it's Bell or Scott for his flex.
So it's Bell or Scott for his flex.
I
would
receiver
rule,
on that, out of those options. See if there's a receiver we might like down there.
yeah, there may be a receiver on his lineup that he could throw in on the flex. If not, if he's light on wide receiver. So, I'll answer the question because he's tilting either Lev Bell or Boston Scott.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is Boston Scott today. I'm not trusting Lev Bell up against that Buffalo defense.
I agree.
I mean, he's going to get the attempts, but how much he does with those attempts, we talked about it earlier today, Juan and I off show, about Frank Gore coming in, possibly stealing some touches because he was stealing touches in practice, and Lev Bell got his, excuse my language, panties in a bunch. So man, I'm not touching this Jets offense today outside of Jamison Crowder as a low wide receiver too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's the answer. That's my answer anyway.
Yeah, I would go Boston Scott.
I know we all. I'm gonna go make it that unanimous, and we'll go Boston Scott. Like I know, like we said, he's gonna get the opportunities. Mekhi Becton's a really good blocker. The offense is supposed to be doing this. Me personally, I don't like Gase, and I would normally start Bell if it wasn't against that Bills defense, which is people. It's for real. Like they could do something special right out of the gate today, and make the Jets' life miserable. I'm talking like just field goals. They don't even find the end zone kind of, domination. Like that defense is that good. They have special players at all levels and multiple players at each level. So it's going to be a problem for the Jets today. And I would definitely, if I had to pivot, I would pivot away from Bell. And Boston Scott gives you upside.
Wow. Okay. So it gets deeper. So his wide receivers to flex in: A.J. Brown, Jamison Crowder, Anthony Miller.
What?
Wait, what?
He's got A.J.
What's the
Brown?
full question?
He can start A.J. Brown? Because if he can start A.J. Brown.
If he can start A.J. Brown, it's A.J. Brown in the flex, hands down.
All day. Yeah, that's easy. If he's got A.J. Brown, that's a no-brainer.
And tell him to text his question in the chat so we can all see it.
Real quick, though.
Well, I'm trying to figure it out right now because I'm about to ask him if he's in like a 6-man league or.
It might be a 10-team league.
It could be.
So Kendall Fuller's officially out.
Yep.
He's officially out for Washington. So maybe that does give you a flyer on Deshaun Jackson back to come full.
If you have to take the shot with Deshaun Jackson, you feel a little bit better about it with Kendall Fuller being out.
Got another quick tilt right here. Just a quick one. This comes from my boy Ted. Boston Scott or John Brown?
John Brown.
Ooh.
John Brown. The Jets defense is not that great, and we'll go John Brown.
I agree.
Yeah, John Brown. I think I'd lean John Brown that way.
Okay, so
I'm not a big fan of the Buffalo offense in the passing game, but they have a really good matchup, man. And you can if they are going to be covering Stephon Diggs as much as he deserves to be covered, then John Brown could be open a lot more. So yeah, John Brown.
So that was correct. What I said before for Pete. Pete there's the 5-man flex right here. It's Le'Veon Bell, Boston Scott, A.J. Brown, Jamison Crowder, Anthony Miller. It's A.J. Brown.
It's A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
A.J. Brown. Absolutely.
Another inactive for today that's going to matter, and I know usually we don't pay attention to defense, but like we'll give you this information and we'll dig deep for it. But Greedy Williams, and I was watching whether or not he was going to play. The Browns defense is decimated. Their secondary, to be specific, is decimated with injuries. They don't have Grant Delpit. He hurt himself earlier this in the preseason. Their rookie that was supposed to be good. If Greedy Williams doesn't play, who's a nice shutdown corner, and he's not playing, he was their number 1 pick last year. The only guy that they have now is Denzel Ward as far as coverage. So look for the Ravens to be able to exploit that and get some deep shots. I wouldn't be shocked if you heard the name today. Duvernay, Miles Boykin, like that side of the field is going to definitely get some looks. And if they can get Brown away from Denzel Ward for a second, Hollywood Brown can have a breakout game. But either way, big things for Lamar Jackson.
Is Denzel Ward a shadow kind of guy?
Yeah, he can definitely.
So is Hollywood Brown going to be shadow today?
I don't know if he shadows him into the slot, but yeah, he can be a shadow guy. He's a lockdown corner, and he's built for Hollywood Brown. Like that's the kind of corner that you need because he can actually run with them. Nobody can run with Tyreek Hill and Hollywood Brown and those guys, but Ward can keep up. He can definitely do the job. But I think if they move him around, he can still hit a home run against, the opposite corner.
Nice. Yeah, that's a good inside tip. I do have Hollywood Brown in some of my DFS lineups today.
Me too. I have
just taking a couple shots.
Yeah. It's worth it. That game could go where they actually score a little more than you would think they would. Those both of those offenses could click and start moving right away, even though they're facing really good defenses. But Cleveland is definitely banged up on the other end. So yeah, Mark Andrews, if you have him, fire him up. Like if you have one of those leagues where you have Mark Andrews and Ertz, let's say something along those lines, go ahead and fire him up because Mark Andrews is going to play well today.
I like. Oh man, I can't wait for Andrews.
Everything, Dobbins, Ingram, like just in general. I'm excited for every single game. Like I'm souped up for every single one of these matchups.
All right. Well, since we're all souped up, I think we're going to go around the horn real fast and close out of here. It is 11:55. We have 1 hour and 5 minutes left to real live Sunday football. Okay. And real fast, if you guys want to take it out, Mr. Swanson, you want to say you pay your dues and tributes to anybody you want to talk to out there, anybody that you're listening, that may be watching. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Go ahead.
I'd like to thank my mom. I would get here. I always thought that, thank you for always supporting me. Dogs in general, all dogs. I want to thank all dogs just for being around. This is great. This is the second time we've done a live show. It's our first Sunday Tilt. You guys brought some cool questions. We had some stuff to talk about. There's a lot of things that happened in the last 24 hours. So I know that if I was feeling unsure about things, I used to go to another podcast and try to get my question in, but there's so many people asking questions and very rarely would it ever get answered. And my tilt would be real. So our idea was to make a Tilt is Real podcast for when the tilt gets real. That's why we're here. Hopefully we helped you guys out with some stuff and thank you and have fun.
Awesome. And Mr. FF, one of a kind, Mr. Juan Carlos Pena.
So that last word you said there, fun. This is what it's all about. We can all use it. We all need it. It is going to be fun. It's going to be a fantastic day. Love your family, hug your people that are near you, enjoy each other, be positive, have fun with this thing. Go Dolphins, big go Dolphins. And we're going to go into New England and shock the world. And just to enjoy each other, and we're blessed to be here in this space and to have you guys listening to us. We appreciate it, and it's what we love to do. We have a passion for it, and I don't know what that means.
Just listen to you right there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I thought you were pointing to the other screen or something.
No.
Like that.
No. It's a little confusing.
Basically come to us for anything you need. You guys want to come to the Tilt, find us on Facebook and on Twitter, and we'll answer all your needs, anything you need.
All right. And I will wrap it up. I am James Crease. We started this podcast, the Tilt is Real Fantasy Football Podcast. We are live on 7 different channels. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google Play. We're sponsored by Anchor Podcast. That's where we started this. Shout out to Anchor Podcast real fast. You can find me on Twitter at FF_chef. We are a part of the DHH crew. We are both, Juan and I are both writers for them out there. Check out our content. Great stuff coming out of there. And also we have started our own website, the www.thetiltisreal.com. Check in periodically. We will be posting some stuff. I'll probably be doing a waiver wire column for you guys that should be coming out every Tuesday morning to help you guys go and win your leagues. Okay, so that's about it. We got one more comment in there. What's going on? Fins or Pats? Last question from Jay Brader. We started with Jay, so let's end with Jay. Who's it going to be? And then we'll sign off real fast.
Defense, just starting defense, or who a pick 'em?
I think it's just a pick 'em. So let's just do that as a pick 'em. Well, we know Juan's. Well, you know Juan's
You
pick.
already know it's me. The Dolphins, baby. Let's go.
I'm going Dolphins.
We're here now. And listen, in all seriousness, they'll cover. Jay, if you're going to bet some money, I think they cover, but don't. The Dolphins don't let the Patriots cover. It'll be a close game. It won't be 5 or 6. It'll be a 3-point game. Our defense is going to be real. You're going to learn some new names about defensive players on the Dolphins today. We're going to show up, but we may not win the game.
And I'm going to be contrarian here and go with the Patriots. It's going to be a fun game to watch. I'm intrigued to see what Cam Newton does in that offense, but yeah, I'm not putting my money against Bill Belichick. So Patriots it is. And that about wraps it up, guys. Thanks for joining in today. And you have a great Sunday. Enjoy the football games. Thank you.
The tilt is real.
The tilt is real.
This is when the tilt is real.
Welcome to another episode of The Tilt is Real Fantasy Podcast. Coming to you live from the Chef's Table. Here are your hosts, James Crease and Juan Pena.
Let's go.